Imagine, if you will, waking up and having all the dreams and nightmares available to you finally after all your life. Well, I have had that happen, and now I'm able to write these stories and present them to you. Here is my vlog. I'm presenting to you Road to the Wardens of the Dawn, where I'm writing books and telling you of my journey as doing so. Join me as we go into each vlog. Thank you. And welcome back to my vlog. This week I got some interesting things for you. First off, a little bit of a lesson I learned this week I'm going to share with you. Then we'll continue our 36 stories with part 2, The Paths of Conflict. And then a little bit about music. I've learned how to make music with AI, and I'm going to play a couple of songs for you. Then I got updates coming. Stick with it. We got some fun things in this vlog. Okay, so as I am in my writing, I have written book 1 3.5 times now, working on the final 4th version to go out. And now I have almost, I'm one scene away from being complete with the first draft of book 2. Now, in book 1, I learned that I couldn't rely on my memory for names all the time. And although I have a OneNote which has everything in it for the entire series, it was difficult to keep going back to that. So while I was writing book 2, I thought, I'm going to be smart. I'm going to open up a little window in Notepad, and I'm going to put my names as I create them there, so that if I refer to them later, I have the same spellings. Um, well, that worked well for almost the entire book. Last week, I completed scene 33, and then I don't know what I did. I don't know how I did it. Something happened. Oh, and I saved the notepad to the local disk so that it wouldn't be involved in the syncing stuff. So last week, like I said, I'm working really hard. And okay, yeah, this is a very important file. Let's sync it to OneDrive. And when I did that, I found out there was already a version in OneDrive. So, okay, all great here. It's all synced. So I saved everything. So I thought. And okay, it wasn't saved. It reverted. There was a April version of the file from last year in OneDrive, and it resynced it. And what was everything I put into the file from April till now was gone. Now you're going to say, okay, yeah, Bill, but OneDrive does versions. Not on OneNote files, it doesn't. Not on Notepad files. Not on text files. It only had that April version. I had lost all those names, and I had headaches. I had to take aspirin. Um, I went through and I looked at every single file, every single temp file, every single deleted file, every single file in OneDrive, and I looked and looked and looked and looked, and I went to Copilot, and it gave me some ideas, and I looked and looked and looked and looked. It was erased. It was gone. I had lost probably 186 alien names that I had created, and the only place they existed was in the text that I'd written. Now, you can say everything you want, and as you understand, Copilot is a part of Microsoft, but it exists in multiple layers. You have the Copilot chat tool, which when you have the professional version of Microsoft is the Copilot private, our personal pro version. Has a lot of power to deal with. As you can see, it helps me make video or helps me make images. It's brainstorming and all that stuff. Um, but there's also a Copilot built into Microsoft Word. It's not as smart, and it's actually a different application. However, it was strong enough, and I was able to interact with it with my book and capture all names. I wanted the page numbers, but for some reason it said that my 139 page book has 35 pages, but they're all there. Anyway, I took that data, I put it into a new Word document, and then I imported that into the chat copilot, who sorted it out for me, and now I have a master index list of 310 names, I think it was, saved as a Word document where I'm putting my Word documents. When I go back and do my first rewrite, converting all my scenes into chapters, I will also use this to validate I'm spelling the names correctly, using them in the same way consistently throughout the whole document. Joanne told me that the work that she's done in book one, that was one of the major works. So if I actually give her a cleaner version, then she could focus on the language. So that's what my goal is for book two here. But it's done, it's saved, I created it. Copilot, thank you. You're my hero. Hi, AI man. In time for this vlog. Stay tuned. Let's do some more stuff. Okay, so there are 36 stories, and they're divided into the 6 paths. And last week I covered the first paths, the paths of beginning. But now we're going to cover the paths of conflict, the second batch of 6. These story types all come from the 36 stories that I'm focused on. And what we have here is we have uh, stories that deal with interaction and interaction between two opposing forces or two things. So the first one is the duel. And this is really when you have a story where two wills are in collision. The duel is always going to be dealing with that wrath between two people. A lone swordsman steps into a silent courtyard at dawn. Across from him, his rival mirrors the stance. No armies, no allies, just two forces meeting at the moment that will decide everything. That is a duel. The second one is a siege. Hold the line is what you would hear most often. And an example of it be a small rebel outpost braces as an enemy forces surround them. Supplies dwindle, morale thins, but the defenders refuse to yield. This story becomes a test of endurance, not victory. Then you have the chase. Run or be run down. A fugitive darts through the neon-lit alleys, while a relentless hunter closes in. Every turn tightens the gap. The tension isn't in the capture, it's in the pursuit. Then you have the betrayal. The knife comes from behind. A trusted advisor smiles as they hand over the keys to the city gates to the enemies. The hero realizes too late that the person they relied on already chose another side. The war thread. The ideologies clash. Two nations unfurl their banners as armies march. This isn't a single battle. This is a long, grinding conflict where every victory births another wound. And then last, the rebellion. Rise against the throne. Farmers, workers, and outcasts gather under a stolen banner. They have no training, they have no resources, only the conviction that the world must change, even if it costs them everything. How you use these paths, again, is just the same. You start with the story plot, and then you slowly introduce a few subplots, and then eventually those subplots will join in with the main story plot or promote themselves past the story plot, and then you would use one of them to be your ending. An example would be you can start the story off in a duel that will move into a chase, work its way against a rebellion, and then end in a siege. That's how you can use these 6 stories. And these all intermix with the stories from the last 6. The full 36 are all interchangeable. And what this does is it gives you an idea on how maybe you can work your scenes, how you get from A to B, how you make sure C is in the middle. Use the story parts to help you go, or use one story as the entirety of your entire arc for your book. Everything is possible. It's all your palm tree. Hope you enjoyed it. Next week we'll do the next 6. So one of the things I discovered this week was being able to build music. So I've done some experiments and I've actually created 8 songs. These are all dedicated to themes from Revolt on Prime. I'm going to play one for you in just a second. Um, these are AI. I'm going to release them on my website as part of my marketing campaign for the release of the book, and they will be for free. Enjoy it.
I found the truth beneath the steel, buried where they said nothing was real. Every word they spoke was dust, every promise made to us. This is the breath before we rise, the silence breaking through the lies. I carry fire in my hands. We will reclaim these broken lands. They kept us small and kept us blind, fed us stories we could never find. But now I see what they erased, the cost of all we had to face. This is the breath before we rise, the silence breaking through the lies. I carry fire in my hands. We will reclaim these broken lands. I am the voice they tried to drown. I am the wall they can't pull down. Every heart that beats with mine will stand and cross the final line. This is the breath before we rise, the silence breaking through the lies. I carry fire in my hands. We will reclaim these broken The archive speaks, and we are free.
And it's update time. Revolt on Prime, I'm getting everything ready. As soon as I get the last part, I'm going to be working fully on that. I have one more section to write, one more scene to write for book 2, and then I'll put that book aside with its new name index table, and then I'll return everything to Revolt on Prime and get that finished and get that out and get that ready. Just a reminder that what I've got to do is I have to apply the final formattings that Joanne gives me for the final part of the books. I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to format it in the formats for lulu.com, which I am now registered as a publisher on, and mine ISBN so that I can buy my own ISBNs. That means I'm a publisher. Ooh. And then the focus will be I'm going to read Revolt on Prime from beginning to end for one last time. Final changes, any last minute stuff will go, and then I'm going to send into Lulu to get my author prints. I have an art group of 6 people, and so I'm going to give them these prints and then ask them to do a peer review or review, double check, make sure all the pages printed properly, all the words appear correctly, nothing is strange in its output, that there's no double pages. They're going to do a thorough check of the book and read it and hopefully love it. And when we are actually in Lulu's publications, they'll actually start putting the reviews out. When that is done, I will be doing a 2-week release publication process with a blurb and a music release, and to get you all excited that the book is coming, and you'll be able to order it from Lulu. And that's how I want to do my sales, is through lulu.com, and I'll also make it internationally connectable through Lulu. I wanted to do Ingram Spark, but at this time there's a difficulty connecting my current email address to them. They don't like Gmail accounts for some reason. So when I build my website, I'll build a professional email account and see if I can get a Ingram Spark account with that. But we'll see. Oh, and today I had a very interesting Spark story for the book 5. And I'm looking at the ancient story of Laili and Marjan. This is a story of 2 people who had a distant love that was overly destructive and ended up driving them both mad. And I'm looking at that and how I can use that in book 5. So these are the updates. The next slide is the credits. Stick around. Another song is present there. Thank you. See you next week. Bill out.
The wind speaks in a language older than words. I stand here, bark worn thin by years. The earth holds me when the sky tries to tear away. The weight presses down. La la la, I will not break. I bend toward the sun, carrying all that came before. Seasons carve the names into my lips. Rain falls like memory, each drop a burden lifted or gained. The soul knows what I cannot say aloud. Ah, 'cause the weight presses down. La la la, I will not break. I bend toward the sun, carrying all that came before. Seasons carve the names into my lips. Rain falls like memory, each drop a burden lifted or gained. The soul knows what I cannot say aloud. Ah, 'cause the weight presses down. La la la, I will not break. I bend toward the sun, carrying all that came before. Seasons carve the names into my lips. Rain falls like memory, each drop a burden lifted or gained. The soul knows what I cannot say aloud. down. La la la, but I will not break. I bend on the sun, carrying all that came before. Da, 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 da. In the deep